Remember this one, Nate?
Yeah. Welcome everybody to the Cartel Flow. Beautiful Things Come From Struggle podcast YouTube channel.
This is our sanctuary with sneakers on. What do you got on for kicks today? Nikes?
I got some Jordans.
Me too. I got on some, the originals. But I laced them up, We didn't plan to match today, but for some reason the universe always kind of aligns us in the same colors. Is it crazy? Every time. So I got to give a quick little shout, 30 Deep Society. If anybody is looking for new merch, check out 30 Deep Society. This is some fire.
And I'm going to shout out Gorilla on my man Stonecatcher, Kentel Weaver. That's his merch. But I'm Big Nate 508.
Auntie Shan, if you didn't know, I told you so.
Today we're just going to talk a little bit, not much. But there's been a lot of things on my mind. Maybe some things on, Shan's mind. But, just walking around this community, a community that, that I'm from. And it's just heartbreaking that, hurt is continuously flowing through the neighborhoods, and it's affecting the residents and the good citizens, the city of Brockton. And, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity, to go talk with the students at West Junior High.
So proud.
Thank you.
Our alma mater,
And after that, I was just kind of just evaporating the air, just really being humbled and appreciative of being out here in this community. And, for like a few weeks, I've been calling and calling, actually a few months, I've been calling and calling Safe Corners, and I couldn't get a call. They just didn't answer the phone. And so the tenacious person that I am, I went and knocked on the door of their office and buzzed the office.
That's a local office, yeah?
Yeah, the local office. And, basically I just asked how I could be involved. How could I volunteer, to give, to continuously give back to my community. And, basically without saying it, they turned their back on me, And I must say, it left a bad taste in my mouth,
I'm sorry. Let me ask you this. Why do you think that they turn their back? They turn their back because they met you in person or because of your history that maybe? Is it your personality they didn't like, or because you're tenacious and you're want to give back, you're so helpful?
I don't know. I wasn't rude. I was very respectful. Basically, I just told them a little bit about what I do. I told them that, that I was in prison for 30 years and 5 months.
Well, you should maybe leave that one out next time in the beginning.
Yeah, but my past is not going to dictate my present and my future. And, who I once was isn't who I am today. And what I understand and what I see, and just being able to mentor and talk to, at-risk youth while in prison, is that a lot of these young men, they like to identify and they can relate and feel comfortable with individuals of lived experience. And so, as I walk around, I don't really see nothing going on. I don't see nobody really like the other cities abroad in Massachusetts where young men and young women are out there in the communities. It doesn't matter if it's rain, sleet, or snow. They out there and they just trying to build with these young men and young women. And so I haven't seen that out here.
I think a lot of things is that people do it, but they do it alone in their own, nonprofit organization or however it works. And as one person cannot change the community. Even if you have one nonprofit organization, you cannot change the community yourself. Everybody needs to come together for a movement. A movement changes lives.
Well, I beg to differ, because like I said, like in a matter of a few days, we already had, some violence in this community. You know what I'm saying?
Violence?
Violence.
2 people got shot at the BAT bus terminal.
And
And then the kid got killed at the gas station, which I never knew was called Old Railroad Way. That must be a new name.
Yeah.
So in a week, 3 people have been killed in this community. What's anybody doing about it to help?
Well,
What do you think?
Well, when I think about obviously I think about the victims of these crimes, right? But I also think about the individuals who committed these crimes, because you're going to have 2 sets of families. One that is mourning the loss of their loved one, or upset about the injuries of their loved ones, right? But also then you're going to have an individual who is going to go up to prison probably for the rest of his life. And so there's 2 victims, and it's a ripple effect. It's like when you throw that rock in the pond in the water and it ripples. But my thing is this, is that I believe that there is a lot more to be done, and it's not being done. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. It actually is not. You're right.
And I remember when I was in prison, and I heard talk about having a National Guard in the high schools. Like, this is crazy. Like,
I went there, school committee meeting. I got no kids, showed right up. I was right there with my notebook and a pink sweater. I couldn't wait to go because I couldn't believe it myself. But in 1995, they installed metal detectors. Do you remember that?
Nah, but I remember.
In 95, they put metal detectors over in Brockton High, and it actually made us feel a little bit safer, I'm not going to lie, because there was a lot of, that year changed. Tara got ripped off this car. Peter Olenis got shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, walking up the street.
But I think that like metal detectors and all that stuff is good. I look at it as like a Band-Aid on a wound that's required stitches. What we need more is something to give to these young men. You know what I'm saying? We always want to take. But then when we take something from these young men, then what are we going to give them? You know what I'm saying? We want them to get off the street. But then what are we going to give them once they get off the street?
Yeah, what's the change, right?
And it's like these nonprofits, and listen, for the people that are out there that are doing the work and that are real about it, that are not trying to profit off the demise of our people, that love our youth, that love our community, y'all, I love y'all too, man. But for the people that are just in it just to get a buck or whatever, I have no respect for that. I have no respect for that. And so, to just be able to just go and just see and just knock on the door and ring the doorbell, and to just have that experience with those people over there, respectfully, it just kind of pissed me off. And then what happens a week later, violence happens, and to me, I like to do things when the light is off, because I'm not the type of person that like to do things when the light is on so everybody can see me, you know what I mean? But I don't see them around. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them around, And so I'm challenging them, and I'm challenging other organizations of the like to start getting individuals who have lived experience. You know what I'm saying? Start getting individuals who understand not only the demographic but the dynamics of what's going on in these streets. You know what I mean? Who want to, you know what I'm saying? I walk around here and I see people and I pull up on them and I show them love. Most of the time, these young men and these young women, they just need love, man. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds corny to some, and I know that maybe to the conservative base, it probably doesn't sound popular. But
it does,
love is
actually,
love.
because at the end of the day, right, everybody is looking for that kind of nurturing love that you get from God. And I think that, like, a lot of people, not to bring in Jesus, but, like, let's talk about it a little bit. This city, there's 200 churches, and they're not being all used on the street. They're abandoned. The one down on the south side near the auto parts store.
Wow.
There's so much opportunity in the city. And, with redeveloping, I've been on the calls. I know what's going on. We know what time it is. I'm on everybody's phone call, Zoom, you name it, I'd like to get on. But when you're going to redevelop, What are you redeveloping the areas for? Are you going to put like, you know, another Chipotle in there? Or how about like a department for returning citizens? That's a start. But why? So why should you have to go to Boston, right? When you get out of prison, why should you have to live in Boston? Shatira had to. We just had this beautiful woman who's from Brockton on our show, and she told her story. But she has to deal with the parole, and all of that stuff is in Boston. Why isn't there an affiliate closer to the cities that need it? Like, why shouldn't you be able to live in Brockton?
Well, we talk about the churches and we talk about the redevelopment, but the thing about it is more and more young people are coming into the city. And in order to, you know, we talk about redeveloping buildings.
Let's redevelop
But if I may
Sorry.
finish my thought, if we're talking about redeveloping buildings, let's develop our young men. Let's develop our young women. If we're talking about churches and why there isn't that many churches, listen, I'm all for individuals having a strong and great relationship with the Creator, right? But let's you know, before an individual can know about God, I believe that individuals need to know about themselves, love themselves, so that they can allow, you know, allow the opportunity to have that relationship with Christ. You know what I'm saying? And so with the churches and the redevelopment, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? They want to, you know, probably, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't want to say something that I don't know. But if you're talking about making a Chipotle and all these other things, that's fine, whatever. You're bringing money into the city. But let's talk about bringing some programs and some buildings and whatnot, you know, place for returning citizens, man, coming back into the city.
That's a
you know
big
what I mean?
deal. A safe center. How about a safe center for at-risk youth? A safety center. That's what I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
But there isn't anything like that. So how do you be the change in the world? You just got to walk out and do it yourself. Start showing
I mean,
it.
that's what I've been doing. You know, I don't want to, like, you know, toot my own horn. I try to be modest because I'm very humble. But, you know, we have a lot of people in this community, you know, that I know that if there was a place, you know what I'm saying, in a space, then it would create a peace place with a safe space. And when we bring individuals up in there, you know, and we be able to just have conversations, you know what I'm saying, being able to get vendors in, maybe create some jobs for these young men and women, you know, give them life skills, work skills, things of that nature, things that are not really going on here. And if they are, it's far from
Financial literacy
new.
is very important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How about literacy in general? The literacy rate in Brockton is 22%. How about that? That's no good. That's not good, Brockton. We're going to do better this year. We're going to do better this year. We're going to do better.
I remember going into this beautiful event. And shout out to those brothers. I love them. I was locked up with some of them, and the beautiful families that were there. And you know, shout out to Luz Villar.
We love you,
She's a
Luz.
real one. But we had individuals talk about the problems that are going on in the community of Brockton, but they're not from Brockton. You know what I'm saying? They're not from Brockton. That's like putting a square peg into a circle hole. You know what I'm saying? So we need to have these spaces too, where individuals that are from our city, right, also have been through the same plights and same situations, also talk about what's going on in here. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that can go on soon, man. It can happen soon. Also, man, Shannon, you always like, you know, talk about art and things of that nature. I think that's important, man. You know what I mean? Being creativity.
Expression.
Yeah.
It's a way to express yourself without having to say a word.
Yeah.
Journaling, poetry, music, art, painting,
Dance.
graffiti, dance, all of it. There is no limitation to art. Art means to me, like what art means to me is my ability to recognize talent.
Yeah.
But art is life. Art changes life.
Another thing too is, you know, we come up. I know when I came up, you know, being in the city, you know, the police, you know, jump out with masks on and hem you up and all types of stuff. Yeah, ninja masks, all kind of crazy stuff, and it really made individuals, including myself, more hyper vigilant. But I remember that there were police officers like Jake McGee, rest in peace, who was not only a police officer but really cared about the community. You know, John Carr, these individuals would come around, and really it wasn't all about like harassing people, but just like coming around, like, hey, how you doing, man? How you guys, doing their job, but really caring about the fabric of the community. And hopefully we can get more police officers who are not scared to take their fist and grind it into the concrete and really just walk around and just, get to know young men, get to know young women, man. You know what I'm saying? Just caring about people, and I think that's a lot of what's missing and what I see, and not just in this community, but in this country as a whole, is humanity, empathy, and also that's important because of the trauma that we all experience every single day, because...
And the trauma you carry it with you, you have to learn. It's not like something that you can just like close that door and like it's never come back, right? Trauma is trauma, so you're gonna have to learn how to walk with it, how to deal with it, how to hold your head high, and that's the whole purpose of like, of changing your life, right? Is like learning how to deal with like the trauma. And like every day there's like so much, it's a roller coaster ride in my eyes, every day is another roller coaster, but how do you try to stay on track, not get caught up in it, right? Because it's real easy to get caught up, I'm sure. I mean, I know it is for me. So it's easy for me to get caught up in somebody else's nonsense that I don't need to be in, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying, staying in your own lane, minding your business. Go back to the 90s again. Stay in your lane, mind your business.
I think for me, what really catapulted that real change is that just listening to mothers who have lost their children to violence. And like, I talked to somebody, who lost a son to violence, man.
Did
it's
it
still
you?
painful. Yeah.
You did too?
Yeah.
Okay, so let that part. Let's
and
talk
it's like
about
very painful. It's very painful. And I think that, we got a lot of these young men that are just continuously perpetuating the hate and the anger. And I understand, man. And I love my young brothers. I always say I love my young brothers and my young sisters, man. You know what I'm saying? All I want to do, man, is just build with them, talk with them. But most of the time, these beefs that start happened 20, 30 years ago. And they don't even know why it started. You know what I'm saying?
So they're just continuing with like that trend and that like embedded stuff. Yeah. So that is a learned behavior. That's not like they grew up in it.
And what's crazy about it, Shannon, was when I was in prison, they had individuals that was really killing each other out there in the street. And behind the wall became tight. And was even like, yo, can I borrow your sneakers for a visit, stuff like that. And it was like, if they can change, you know what I'm saying, we all can change. We're all never gonna get along, you know what I'm saying, but at least we can just have that respect for one another.
Yeah, and respect each other's cultures, right?
Absolutely.
We have the most diverse community in the state of Massachusetts. So let's talk about like respecting other people's cultures and boundaries, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. And I think that people maybe overstep that.
Yeah. Another thing too, going back to the high school with this National Guard, right now I got my own National Guard. And I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant or pompous, but I got a team of men and women that are ready right now, ready, willing, and able to go up to the high schools, the schools, wherever, and share their stories and talk about the what, when, why, and how.
And that's important. It's like a reach. It's an opening to give somebody, that maybe is going through something, the opportunity to process it. Because let's be real, everybody's lives are affected by violence. Somebody that's incarcerated, like if you don't have a family member that's incarcerated, good for you. Because I feel that most people have to live with that in life. Or if you are the wife of someone that's behind the wall. I already know what you do every day. You hold it down, sis. You keep the family together.
I don't want nobody to get incarcerated.
No.
I don't want nobody to lose their life, and I don't want nobody to get incarcerated. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm out here trying to just plant seeds into young people's minds. You know what I'm saying?
I will say one thing. Please remember to plant your seeds where they are wanted, because planting seeds in gardens that don't grow are no good.
But to change the
But
subject,
we're going to change.
to change the subject, in the next couple of weeks, and shout out to Shatera and all the other guests that
Yes.
we had. But we're gonna have some really deep, profound interviews and mini documentaries. One of them is gonna really keep you viewers in awe. I don't want to speak too much about it, but it's a young brother who went through a lot of things in his life, and right now, he's blooming and blossoming. He's a father. He actually works for the state, you know.
For this state.
Not this state, in another
another state, yeah.
And
Isn't he security?
yeah.
Yeah, he works security in
Yeah.
another state, yeah.
Yep. And so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a lot more, you know, interviews in the community, regular people,
Real talk.
real talk.
Real communication, real
Yeah.
conversations, real connection. Now, I have to just give a little shout out on the preview with this guy because I cried. Like, you're going to cry watching this. It's going to hit you in a way that you wouldn't even believe is possible. Because this kid's life, I can't even believe is real.
Yeah, we don't want to say his
But
name.
even your life,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know, like, thank you for being around again after
Yeah,
all these years, you know.
yeah.
It takes one to know one, a real
Yeah,
one.
we don't want to say his name yet, cause out of respect, man. But I can 100% know that you guys are gonna be like, wow, you know. And justice needs to be held for this young man. you
There
know.
is a space for this
Yeah.
conversation, and it
And,
needs to be told in loud volumes.
And also, in the near future, you know, Shannon, myself, and other people, beautiful people, Mother's Day brunches, Father's Day brunches. We're gonna do some stuff, hopefully, in DW Fields Park.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little floor where people can dance and enjoy themselves.
Got the dance floor.
Yeah, we got some things going on. Just really giving back and you know, like, as those doors shut in my life and her life, we just like, well, we open our own doors. We create our own lane. You know, I'm not trying to run for no political office or none of that. And I'm not hating on anybody that is, but I'm not. All I'm trying to do is run to help people, run to heal people the best way that I can and Shannon can. But, you know, we just want to just let everybody know, man, that the cartel is flowing, and what's flowing is beautiful things that are coming from struggle. And with that, man, we just want to just say love, peace, and God bless. And listen, if I ruffled any feathers, it's not disrespectful, but I will say it's intentional, because Malcolm X said that when you put water in the pot and leave it there, what happens? It boils and overflows. And that's just how I feel about wanting to give back, and Shannon wanting to give back, and others of the like to our community. So I'm signing off, Big Nate 508.
Auntie Shan, if you don't know, the cartel, Auntie Shan Cartel, the flow. I mean, listen, I can't stop talking. We should have a radio station even. Imagine, 24 hours. Imagine Auntie's voice, 24
Peace.
hours. Peace. We love you, and we'll see you soon. Stay tuned. We got something coming for you.
Peace.